All right, hello, good afternoon to everybody, and welcome to our third episode of Inflated. Again, like I do every episode, I would like to wish everybody a happy birthday. If you've had one in the recent days, if you got one coming up, that is a most precious time. So I want to wish everybody a happy birthday. I'm your host, Demarius Jones. I have Anthony Harder here, the other host. I always got to give homage to our camera guy, Liddell Newell, behind the scenes. He's the one doing a lot of the stuff. Special thanks to all our viewers who've been participating, who've been logging in, watching it last week and the week before that. We really appreciate everything that you've been doing. So continue to do that. Share it, like it, whatever you need to do. Let's get on it. Make sure everybody is tuning in. Also, check out the Inflated intro, the trailer. Good stuff. Like I said, Liddell put all that together for us, and we really want to thank him for doing that. So again, share that. We got some special guests today. We'll talk about some different topics. We'll get them to come on the show. But I will say this. I left this out last week. We will not tolerate the disrespect from any of the viewers or the listeners. This here is the show to educate and help grow people. So if you got any comments, keep them to yourself. We would like for you to comment, but if you're not going to comment in a positive way, let's make sure we keep them to ourselves. All right.
So I just want to add real quick, especially you guys out there. Earlier today, I was in a store, and a gentleman walked up to me, and he said, "Hardy," and I turned around and didn't really recognize him, and he said, "Listen, I just want to tell you what you and DJ are doing and the topics that you guys are bringing up. It is really great, and I appreciate you guys doing it." I said, "Oh, man, that's nice." I said, "You follow us on Facebook?" He's like, "No, but I've listened each time you guys have had the show." And I just thought that was simply amazing. And to be honest with you guys, for us being able to reach out, because what we're trying to do here, again, this ain't about $1 in my pocket or $1 in DJ's pocket. This is just an opportunity for us, as DJ put it when we first started the show, inflated voices, bring life to topics and subjects that we can get better informed. Again, it's not a situation where we're trying to be the loudest voices. We're not. We're not trying to, we're not Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless here or anything like that. We're individuals here who just trying to, educate you guys. Get educated if that's the case. So keep sending your likes. I'm not going to lie. I like your dislikes as well, because I want to know how we can get better. It ain't just about us sitting up here and, talking heads. It's about how we get better. And we only get better by the guests we bring on. And then obviously the education and the topics that we bring up to you guys. So you got some topics that you want to suggest, reach out on our sites so that we can get those. And then again, maybe possibly bring you on the show to discuss the topics that you guys want to talk.
All right, well said, Hardy. Again, just piggyback, he said that, we're not trying to make any money. We're not. Again, we're going to educate and try to do what we need to do to grow people. All right, so we'll go ahead and move into our first topic. I want to talk about the career fair that took place at the high school about 2 weeks ago. And a lot of the places that we seen there, a lot of good stuff that went on. Hardy, tell me how good was that to have for the kids at the school?
Because I've literally participated in several of these fairs. For kids, it gives you an opportunity to see what's out there. Now, sometimes we can get very, very narrow-minded in jobs and kind of what we see or what we don't see. Right. And, speaking for myself, when I first started this job that I'm working with now with Mars Chocolate, I had no idea that this job existed. Had no idea even at the time of how to even get in this position that I'm in now. And so going to job fairs and people educating our kids on, there is other things that you can do out there. I mean, there's a lot of establishments around Laurel. Obviously, I love to see the kids actually move out, branch out, go other places. But, to bring businesses in and actually talk to kids about what it takes, first and foremost, to get into them. Sometimes it's, setting those realistic expectations, because you say, I want to be a doctor, and, you're not passing science. It's hard to be a doctor.
Right.
So, it's about making sure we put kids in the best possible positions for job growth and for, job placement, that we put them in the best possible positions. And so people coming on and telling what it takes to do this, what it takes to do that, I think that really helps those kids.
Yep. And I agree with you. Just to throw out some names, it was the city of Laurel, Mississippi Power was there. You saw Hair World. You had Wayne Sanderson Farms. You had Amick Farms, Howard Industries, LPD,
Right.
Laurel Firefighters, you had PG Technologies, Be Clean, Family Health Center, Cosmetology Company. Jones had a workforce that came there, a real estate company. I'm not sure if I covered everybody, but those are a lot of careers
Right.
that was able to attend, and the kids were able to see different jobs. The reason I wanted to bring this up, Hard, is because like a lot of our students, they don't have the right guy. They don't understand what is the right job. They think you got to walk out right now and make $200,000 in order to be successful. Some of these jobs pay good salaries.
Right.
And, you know me being a teacher coach.
Right.
If you were able to get some of these jobs, and it pays good jobs. And so you want to make sure that if you got an opportunity to see what it's like to go to like a Mississippi Power or Wayne Sanderson Farms, those careers actually grow the community.
Correct.
And so a lot of our parents, work in those environments. Right. So that's good to be able to see those type of companies come out.
Right.
And support the school like that.
I just know, like, growing up, and I know every football player, basketball player, baseball player thinks that the way to make $1 million is to play sports. And the percentage of individuals that actually, now mind you, not trying to step on nobody's dream, because I wouldn't have wanted nobody to step on mine when, when they asked me, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I threw my hand up in there and said, I want to be a professional football player. So I won't step on nobody's dream. But what my mom used to always tell me is that, what's your fallback plan? What is your thought process? What's your fallback plan? And it all starts with education. We can have some of the best jobs on this board, but if you don't get in those classrooms, get educated, and truly be able to compete, because jobs now is about competition, just like sports. You got to have the right degrees, the right education, or at least the right training to even put yourself in the runnings for these jobs. And a lot of these jobs now are starting to pay really, really good wages. And so it's just about getting the right people in the right jobs. And hopefully you guys take this serious, especially, for any of the kids that's watching. You guys take these job fairs seriously, take your education seriously, and you can still make $1 million without ever throwing, catching, shooting, hitting any type of ball.
I agree. And we'll stop there. We'll move on to the next one. That was a good segment about the career fair. I want to change gears here. Obviously, last week we covered some issues with police brutality. And we have two guests today that we want to bring on to just talk about different situations that if you're ever pulled over, like, what do you do? What do you say? How do you respond? You never know what a cop's thinking. At some point, you never know. Your judgment may not be the correct judgment. So what I did today, I have two officers here. I have Deputy Police Chief Earl Reed here. We have Lieutenant Kevin Jackson. And we're just going to discuss some things about how and why you do certain things. So I'll let Deputy Police Chief Earl Reed go ahead and introduce yourself.
First of all, my name is Earl Reed. I'm originally from Belzone, Mississippi. I married my high school sweetheart, Odessa Reed. We have two beautiful daughters, Chelsea and Taylor. I graduated from Humphreys County in 1986. Went on to attend Alcorn State for 4 years. I am a member of Sweet Hope Baptist Church, where Pastor Bobby Ray Bolton is my pastor. I've been employed with the city actually almost 3 decades.
Wow.
The 15th of this month will be 29 years. I'm excited and just try to put my best foot forward. Try to do the best I can.
Okay, great. All right, we have Lieutenant Kevin Jackson. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
I'm Lieutenant Kevin Jackson. I'm originally from Laurel, Mississippi. I lived here all my life. I've been here 64 years. This is my family roots and everywhere. And my family has been in the civil rights movement for years.
Wow.
And believing people rights and everything like that. So I'm married to Faye Jackson. I know Faye Jackson.
Yeah.
And I live in Laurel myself. My large family.
Okay, well, that's good stuff. And we'll go ahead and get into their segment part. And I just want to kind of ask some questions. And this is nothing to put you guys on the spot. And I'll start with you, Officer Reed. How do you deal with routine traffic stops? Like, how do you handle that based on what your judgment may be from the moment that you pull up on the car until you get out?
Well, first of all, Coach, to me, it's never a routine traffic stop.
Right.
Routine means you're doing the same thing over and over.
Okay.
You know, if I stop a vehicle and I see just one person in the car, I approach the car possibly by myself.
Okay.
Or if I stop another vehicle and I see 5 or 6 people in the car, I'm gonna call for backup and
Okay.
wait before I approach the vehicle. But you know, I introduce myself, tell the individual why I stopped them, ask them is there any legal justification for speeding or running a stop sign. And the biggest thing is, you know, you try to give respect, you gain respect. You try to be polite to the person, to the violator. And the best thing to do is not to try to go back and forth out there on the side of the road. You know, if you receive a citation, hey, just tell the person, look, I got a ticket. Sometimes you might have a friend that's on the police force.
Okay.
You know, you can try to get help that way. I remember probably 20, 25 years ago, I was assigned to the traffic division, and I stopped a young lady on the interstate for speeding. I can't remember the speed, but she was speeding, stopped her, wrote her a ticket, and I went back to explain to her about a court date. And the young lady, she snatched the ticket out of my hand, tore the ticket up, threw the ticket out the window. So I'm a young rookie. I'm like, wow, what do I do? So I went back to my vehicle, and I got in the vehicle, I left, and I think about 2 or 3 days later, the young lady, she called me. She said, look, I got a ticket. I just had the same day that I received the ticket from you. I went to the doctor. I got a bad report from the doctor.
Wow.
So you got to, you know, put yourself in that position. You know, even though those blue lights come on, you still got to realize every day that, you know, it's a good day, it's a bad day. But you know, she advised me that she had gone to the hospital, got a bad report. So you know, we worked it out, and you know, it was a good day for her.
Okay, well, good deal. And I'm gonna go on to Lieutenant Jackson. I see Lieutenant Jackson a lot of mornings, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask him, what about yourself? How do you handle traffic stops when you're dealing with pretty much the same thing like Officer Reed said? When you approach a vehicle, how do you handle that from the moment you approach that vehicle?
First thing going in my mind when I approach a vehicle is this my last day to live with that?
Right.
Because a lot of times people, when you walk up to that car door, they might just shoot you and kill you right there on the spot. And your intention is just to go home every day to your wife, to your family. But like I'll iterate on what he was saying. When you go up there and then a person tells you, I got a gun, you already approach that vehicle and you don't see that gun. Don't sit here, and we've been learning this de-escalated situation. You ain't got to sit there, I'm the police, and get into an argument with them, just like he was saying. De-escalate the situation and make it better for that person and you, and that way both of us go home.
Right.
And then we can work whatever out later. But like I was saying, a lot goes through your mind. And you have 4 or 5 people in the car, and then all of a sudden somebody do that. Hey, what you supposed to do?
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
And then when you stop people, they get mad. The passengers are worse than the person that you stopped. And then you got another problem. You know? Oh, he can't do this, and he can't do that. Yeah. Man, just let it go. Let us work it out at a later date. I mean, court is not on the side of the road.
Right.
I can't sit here and say you guilty, you ain't guilty, and all that. And just last week, I'm on 15 South. I stopped the guy, and he tells me I got a gun. So I go like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I'm here.
Right.
I ain't got no, I'm not going to get on the radio, not going to get in this verbal altercation and stuff. And he was just as kind, and I was too.
Right.
Kindness means a lot to a person. Respect. When you respect a person, they respect you. And then a lot of people know this. I've been out here doing this job 34 years now.
Correct.
So over the years, I learned to, being a rookie, you got to give respect.
Right.
And then there are some people you just can't, this is not going to go.
Right.
And then when that person don't go, then what you do? Then you call your buddy. And then like things that happen like this right here, you don't want to get out of hand like what happened in Memphis, Tennessee.
Right.
Right.
You want to keep the situation calm, cool, and collected. But we have been working at the Laurel Police Department on de-escalation.
Right.
And so
That's awesome.
we are trying to do right around here at the Laurel Police.
Okay.
Let me add a quick one. So, you know, one of the things I always say to police officers, you know, whether when I see them or whether it's when we're having a conversation, is I always say, go home safe. Because I think at the end of the day, and you know, what I want you guys to understand is these individuals have family too. You know, they have wives and they have sons and they got daughters and they want to go home too. Now, are there some bad actors out there on either side? There absolutely are. But it's, Officer Jackson said something I think is so important. Court is not out there on the streets. When they stop you, that is not the time to debate, to argue. You do all that, when you're at the right time in the right place, which obviously that's what court's for. And just to hear both of these gentlemen, I've been knowing them for a long time, and they know a lot of the kids around here, and they are very good at de-escalating situations. And I would just encourage, to you guys. I think it's important that that's what we have to do. We have to find a way to de-escalate, and then we got to find a way where everybody goes home safe at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And I think what you guys are doing, whether it's the classes that you guys are taking, I think that in itself is kind of how policing go, because I grew up knowing that officer friendly. Police come to your schools. It's all about the friendly aspect. And we want to try to gather that back for you as well as for the individual that's on the streets.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll go ahead and ask another question. Really good answers. And again, just to hear my testimony about my encounter with a situation. Tell me, and I'll go back to you, Officer Reed. You're in a car. Tell me how or what should a person not do when they're in a vehicle and they're traveling and they've been pulled over by any law enforcement. What is something that they should not do while they're inside their vehicle?
Well, first of all, you shouldn't make a sudden move. Because if you make a sudden move, the first thing the officer's going to think is a gun inside the vehicle.
Okay.
But most times, what you need to do is, put your hands on the steering wheel.
Okay.
Where the officer can see.
Right.
Visible to see your hands. And that way, he won't feel threatened or whatever. But still, you have to, it's been a long time since I've been out on the road. Mm-hmm. But, back when I was on the road, I tried to respect people, and I knew that at the end of the day, I knew once I approached that vehicle, I knew how the traffic stop was going to go.
Right.
I can tell that he or she has a good attitude. Right. I can tell he or she has a bad attitude. Mm-hmm. And that way, it's just good to have that respect and be polite to a person. And that way, you get the same thing in return. Mm-hmm. But you just got to, always be on your P's and Q's. Law enforcement is not a career where you're going to get rich. Mm-hmm. You'll never get rich. It's something that has to be that you want to do. Matter of fact, when I left Alcorn, I know I'm kind of getting off the subject, but when I left Alcorn, I wanted to be a school teacher / coach. I wanted to follow my mom and dad's footsteps. Mm-hmm. But fortunately, I didn't, and law enforcement was my second choice. Right. So I've been doing this for 29 years. I'm grateful. I think Laurel is a great city to work in. And, like Coach Hardy said, do we have some bad apples? Yes, we do. Our department has some bad apples. Mm-hmm. But, it comes a time where everybody wants to be respected. You got to give respect to receive respect.
Right. Okay. And I agree with that. And I'm going to move on to Lieutenant Jackson. And the reason that we want to do this segment, because I want to try to, again, grow the youth as well as the adults in this situation. We deal with a lot of teenage kids, and I'm pretty sure they drive at a high rate of speed. They're a little bit more elusive than an adult would be. What would be your advice to the kids who are watching this about how to handle their stops? Because, look, they're a little bit more immature than an adult would be. How would you coach a teenage kid through one of these traffic stops?
Well, my first thing is getting to mothers and fathers. First of all, they need to tell you how to act when a police come around. Mm-hmm. A policeman has basically have arrested you when he stopped you. When he stopped you, that's an arrest. So you under his control. You can't tell the police what you ain't gonna do and what you gonna and your mom and daddy gonna get. That don't work that way. Mm-hmm. What you need to do is be quiet, listen. Because 9 out of 10, if you kind to that police officer, you're gonna be kind to you. But like I said, you don't want to get to a point in your life where you already a felon because you drive off, want to run from the police. Mississippi has what's called a fleeing felon rule now. You get in that car and you drive, and I've seen it happen too. All of a sudden you're a felon. I mean, we got to get to the point that use common sense. Use common sense. And your parents need to be in your life all the time telling you the pros and cons of out here what you're doing in these streets. Because these streets are for everybody, not just you. Every time you think that you are right, don't mean you're wrong. All right? That's what your parents are for. Go to your parents, tell them what happened to the police. They can come up there and see Deputy Chief Reed. We pull the video, we can tell you what happened, what didn't happen. But there's no way to sit out there on the side of this road and want to create controversy. Everybody still want to go home.
Are we using? I'm sure you guys are body cams. So I heard you mention you can pull it up on the tape. So we are using body cams.
The entire patrol division, they're suited with body cameras.
Excellent.
Now our narcotics division and the investigators, they don't have body cameras.
Okay.
But if somebody receives a ticket and it has a complaint, come see Captain Valentine or myself. We'll download the body camera. We get to the bottom of it.
Awesome.
And that's the thing. A lot of people, they want to have court on the side of the road. That's not the place to have it. Court is in the courtroom.
Right.
But yeah, to answer your question, we do have body cameras.
Excellent.
Okay. And that's, again, I appreciate the answers that they gave, because that's a lot of knowledge that I didn't know.
Right.
And so that helps me as well as it helped the next person. And I'll go ahead and we'll continue here. This is something, obviously, that's going to happen eventually. If you've been driving long enough, the question that I have is, you never know what day and time it's going to happen. Okay. The difference is, let's talk about day and night, because that is obviously a factor too. Daytime versus being stopped at nighttime. Daytime, you're more inclined to actually seeing what's in the vehicle from the outside. Nighttime, you ain't got a clue at all. Is that more of a judgment call for you, Deputy or Lieutenant, whichever one?
Well, when you're doing your job, it don't matter. I mean, you're a policeman 24/7. I mean, on 15 South, I be down there a lot. That radar gun reaches way down the road. And I'm sitting here watching your speed. When you get up close to me, I cut the blue lights on. And guess what? You start hollering about your speed when you hitting the brakes and looking at your speed on. Your speed on could be wrong.
Right.
And like I stopped the guy last week, and he was saying I was doing so. I said, yeah, you probably was according to your speedometer, but this radar gun is a laser gun, and it's calibrated to the point.
Right.
It's not off. But then, you go like, I tell you what, go get your vehicle checked, and if it checks out that your speedometer is wrong, come see me and I'll fix your ticket. And that way we won't have this problem no more. There's ways to handle stuff. But then, like you said, daytime and nighttime, you can't see in that car. You got this tinted window that's not legal. What do? I mean, some of these cars are so black you can't even see them.
Right.
And then you don't know who in the back seat until you tell them, hey, let the window down. You let the window down, you got 4 or 5 other people, and someone got assault rifle. I've seen that happen to me too now.
Right.
I did these checkpoints. Hey, why are we running around here with assault rifles and guns and stuff in a car?
Right.
I mean, what are you going to do?
Right.
It don't make sense. And all that does is make the police go, hey, y'all get out the car. I got to see. Who knows who you've been on? You might have been a shoot. You might have been go shoot somebody. Deterrence is a big factor in law enforcement also, because you don't want somebody to go do something, and then all of a sudden 5 minutes later you hear somebody shot up a house, and you just let them go through the checkpoint. But we're gonna check it out, make sure the weapons are legal and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of that, it deters a lot of crime. A lot of people complain about the checkpoints. Okay, but if that's gonna save a life, let them complain. Right.
So let me ask you guys this, and this is just more from a career standpoint. How do you guys recruit? Because obviously, we want to see. I want to see some of the best of the best go into law enforcement or go into some type of public service. What's you guys' pitch right now to try to draw some of these individuals into what you guys do?
Oh, great question. I tell you what, I took the test. I took the entry level test in 1992.
Okay.
I wasn't hired until 1994. 2 years later. Now it's like you give the test in January of 2023. You can get hired almost the next month.
Wow. But
for some reason, young guys don't want to go into law enforcement. I don't know whether it's the money. I don't know whether they think they're gonna lose a friend. I don't know whether they think they're gonna lose close family members. But it's just I don't know whether it's a pay or what, but we give the test I think 4 times a year.
Okay.
You take the test, pass the entry level test, then you won't go on to the next phase. But for some reason, especially black males, they shy away from law enforcement. I talk to a lot of guys, and I don't want to be a snitch. I don't want to be a snitch. It's a career, man. It's not a job. It's a career.
It's a career.
Like I said earlier, law enforcement is something that you're not going to get rich.
Right.
But it's something that has to be, inbred in you. Like I said earlier also, I wanted to be a school teacher first. But, that didn't work out. So my second thing I want to do, I said, okay, I'm going to law enforcement. Here I am 29 years later. And I am so happy that I chose this profession. But it's hard to get black males to see.
Wow. Yeah. I can tell you this. I'm happy knowing people like yourself and Officer Jackson, because like I said, I've been knowing you guys for a long time. I know how you guys go out of y'all's way to help. And if you're in a pinch and you need help, you guys would be two names that I would tell anybody reach out to. If you're in a situation, you're in a bind, reach out, talk to them, see what can they do to help. What's your opportunity? So, I just would encourage you guys. If something you're looking into law enforcement, again, you might not get rich, but there's a lot of jobs that you might not get rich. But it's fulfilling, much like being a school teacher. Mm-hmm. And then you think about it, you involved as well in saving lives. All right. So hopefully, guys, some of you guys that's out there that's listening, and go take that test. Because I think, for some of you guys that's got that right mindset, got that right spirit, it's a great career path.
Yeah. And we'll stop there. We'll move on. I want to thank Deputy Chief.
Thank you,
and
sir.
Lieutenant for coming out. We also have another officer behind the scene, Officer Rodriguez. I want to thank you guys for coming out and sharing that with them. A lot of good stuff. So I hope that you're able to take some notes and understand the do's and the don'ts when you're dealing with a traffic stop. We'll go ahead and move right along into our next segment. Obviously, talking about the Black history. And so we'll go ahead. We got another guest that we're going to come on. We're going to bring on to the show. And I'll let Hardy take this.
So let me just say this. First and foremost, guys, it brings me great privilege to announce our next guest, Marian Allen. And Marian sent me a little bio on her. Let me just say this first and foremost. I've been knowing Marian since we graduated from high school together. And, just to see that, I think I mentioned this on one of the first episodes, we need voices out there. We don't just we need people out there. And sometimes it ain't about the pay. Sometimes it's about you and you just trying to do the right thing and you're trying to help. And Marian has truly been an asset too. And, that's what you want to make sure that you are. She's been an asset to the city of Laurel. And so let me share her bio. So Marian is the founder and executive director of the Laurel Jones County Black History Museum and Arts, located downtown Laurel at 820 West 5th Street. She is a mother of two. Gorgeous daughter inside, just FYI. She has two children, Jack and Haley Grace. She's a therapist for the Patient's Choice and Community Activity. Marian, welcome to Inflated Voices.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
So I said a little bit about yourself. You tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well,
tell our guests.
I'm Marian Allen, as he stated, and my real job, as I tell people, I'm a social worker / therapist, and I've been doing that for about 25 years.
Right.
My other side job turned into being the owner of a museum.
Right.
After collecting things for more than 25 years, my kids used to always joke about things being around the house, and that our house was like a museum.
Right.
So several years ago, three or four of us got together, and we decided to put on a Black History show downtown Laurel. And so now that one show from 2020 has evolved to
awesome.
2023, that we now have a museum downtown Laurel. As you stated earlier, I have two children, and I've also taken on the task of running for Justice Court Judge here in Jones County in District 3.
Wow. Didn't know that. Congratulations. So, Marian, Tell me a little about, obviously, I want to know a little bit more about the museum, but I also want to know, obviously, this is Black History Month. I kind of want to know what's some of the activities out there that individuals can participate in. Maybe there's something special that somebody might want to go see. You kind of tell me about that a little bit?
Well, on February the 1st, we had what was called a soft opening for the museum.
Okay.
Which means we open up just the first 6 rooms of the museum so that everybody could see what I have been doing for the past 6 months.
Right.
So we have created this atmosphere at this home, and I just shout out to Mr. Scott Parker, who for several years I've been looking for a location. And when I asked him to let me utilize this building, and he said, sure. It's the right thing to do.
Right.
And Scott, being a white gentleman, he was like, well, Marian, it's just
Right.
that I do this. And so we took 6 months to get to February the 1st. And inside this museum, you'll be able to see things. I start in Kemet, which is known as Egypt.
Right.
So we start in Egypt. A lot of people don't realize that King Tut was Black.
Wow.
A lot of people don't realize that Nefertiti was Black.
Wow.
People don't realize that Cleopatra was Black.
Wow.
You saw Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra, but all of those people are Black.
Right.
When you really get through digging and through the surface of research, you will find out this information, and you're able to see that in the museum.
Wow.
One thing that I acquired was the Budweiser posters. I know it says Budweiser on the posters, but Budweiser in the 70s had the information there for us.
Right.
The information was there to make us buy Budweiser beer, but the poster clearly told you that Black people were African kings and queens. So that information is there. The next room will be called enslavement. I call it enslavement and not slavery,
right?
Because we were enslaved. We didn't just voluntarily get on a ship,
right?
And so therefore it's called enslavement, where we tell you about the transatlantic slave trade.
Okay.
Yes, there are several trades that happen, but I just focus on the transatlantic slave trade. And in that area, you will be able to see on a video as well that goes to tell you about the slave trade out of Ghana. And one thing that I'm very proud of having in that room are authentic slave chains.
Wow.
So you'll be able to touch them. I don't put them behind a glass. I put them on the wall so that you're able to touch them. Put them on your wrist to say, wow, look how this felt.
Right.
The other room you walk into is called Mammy. And Mammy was better known as, her real name is Hattie McDaniels.
Okay.
If you saw Gone with the Wind,